All right, looks like we're underway. Hello, folks. This is the last Wednesday of October. It's about to get really spooky. And so I hope everybody has a really wonderful Halloween this week. We've got a short one today. At least for me, I've been traveling. Last week was the Graal Community Summit, where they showed off some pretty cool demos compiling Java to WebAssembly and also debugging JavaScript, Python, and Rust all at the same time in WebAssembly, which was pretty cool. I'll try to get some links out and share those on the wasmCloud Slack because that just totally blew me away. And then this week was the WebAssembly community group meeting in person in Munich. So I am in a hotel room, and that's why. So we're going to keep this one fairly short, but I believe Liam has brought you a demo today. So let's check that out. And if other folks have agenda items, just drop them in the chat.
Great. First, maybe a quick announcement. I'll just share my screen. The CNCF is moving to a new process for scheduling their calendars. So if you have not yet subscribed, if you go to cncf.com/calendar, there is now a new community calendar that should have the Wasm Cloud meeting listed on it now. In the next few weeks, maybe months, I'm not sure the timeline, we will be transitioning to a new Zoom ID here. There's the Wasm Cloud community meeting, and you can see if you actually subscribe to this in the notes, it actually has our old link in here as well. We will be moving to that. But in the meantime, I wanted to go ahead and kick off a demo of the new sandbox MCP plugin that we have just released. We always love to start Wasm Cloud Wednesdays with a demo. Let me just find my notes here. So what I'm going to start with is hold on here. All right. So we've released a few templates here for the Sandbox MCP plugin that folks can start to leverage. And I'm going to start with wash new and pull down a template repository. And what this is a simple Hano package that has the sort of prerequisites that you can use to build an MCP server. Now, for this particular demo, what I'm going to do today is pull down an OpenAPI spec for the FRED database. Now, the FRED database, if you don't know what that is a database from the Federal Reserve, and it has decades of economic data, and it's this fabulous resource here. So I've cloned my repo here, and then I've pulled down this OpenAPI spec which has a number of API definitions. Now, I think there is an API key here that's listed. This is a fake API key. It's not real. It just shows up in the notes in the description. And then once I've done that, I can use this new plugin for Wash. We've been talking about Wash plugins for a while. And what this one does is it will take an OpenAPI specification and it will automatically generate all of the tools that you would use for OpenAPI. Now, OpenAPI is a standard that sits between, your APIs, your databases, and an LLM, a tool like Cursor or something like that that can use it. So it's asking me permission if it can pull down some additional templates and resources, and then it's gone ahead and we've generated a set of tools here in this template. And you can see now for every API definition, I have a TypeScript tool. Now I can simply just launch wash dev. And what wash is going to do for us, of course, is spin up a development server in the background. It's going to give me the idiomatic experience for TypeScript. So in the background, it's going to say, hey, this is TypeScript in this repo. Let's try to do the right thing and do an npm run a dev build loop here. And then it's going to ask, because Wash plugins now support pre and post plugins, if it can launch a little server here in order to help us out. And this particular server is a MCP inspector that we can now use in order to test out at this particular interface. So if you're following along, what this looks like is now I'm speaking the MCP protocol. I can, come in and look at the tools that are here, and I could start interacting with it and sending in parameters. Now, to give you the bake the cake experience, I could push this to Kubernetes. I could run this in a container, or however my favorite way is to run Wash. Of course, my favorite way to run wasmCloud is using Cosmonic control. And then I could push this right into, or connect this right into Claude as a component. So here it's pretty simple. I just put in the URL, and then I could start asking it questions, asking it to create graphs, pull reports, or whatever the case would be. So if you haven't had a chance to play with this plugin yet, this is open source, and this is available at sandboxmcp.ai. And we walk you through the instructions and a quick demo, and we explain a lot of the why this is important. I think when you're considering MCP or agentic workflows, what is painful about them is that they really introduce new agentic specific risks, and that's some of the stuff that we're talking about in these various white papers and blog posts and things like that. Any questions? Just kind of open it up here. I just wanted to start with just a quick demo, let folks see some of the tooling that we've been building out and some of the stuff that we're trying to put out in the ecosystem. Anybody? All right, Bailey. Well, I'll go ahead and hand it back to you.
Yeah, thank you. I realize that there are some call for paper deadlines that are worth giving a shout out. The WasmCon submission deadline for KubeCon EU is November 2nd. The Wasm IO deadline is December 24th, so you have tons of time. So procrastinators like me are like, I'll wait on that one. But hey, if you're doing WasmCon, why not do both at the same time and get a check mark for the day? So I dropped some links to that in the chat. In terms of community updates, we're continuing on WASI P3. Victor is doing an awesome job pushing out JCO Async support. I understand that he's got some more examples working now as of this week. Go, Victor. If you want to say anything about that, Victor, I don't know if you're in a place where you can open your mic. I think it's worth giving a shout. And then otherwise, I was just going to say, I didn't have a chance to put together all of the roadmap planning that we wanted to do this week. So I will get that done for next week. And I'll post a bunch of links about that inside the WasmCloud Slack. Hey, Victor.
Hey, Billy. Yeah, I hope you're enjoying the travel time there. But yeah, with regards to the async work that's going on in JCO, thanks to a bunch of people from the community who are kicking the tires on it, Christoph, and there have been a few other contributors. I know Sander von Russin. I can't remember exactly what it was. Rustin. Sorry if I've almost certainly butchered your name there, but the contributions and people sort of filing bugs as they find them has been great. The async support in JCO is not fully ready yet, but it is. You can try it, and if you run into issues, like as you almost certainly will, please file issues. And there are some flows that work right now, but obviously not all the flows work. So basically what I'm doing is going through as many test cases as I can find and making sure that we can confirm sort of P3 functionality with the other implementation, which is right now the Rust side. So for people who aren't familiar, just to sort of step back and explain things, as the new features and all of P3 is essentially finished on the Rust side now. So that is including the sort of new built-ins that got added as far as like P3 sort of async stuff and streams and futures and things like that. So it is easy and, well, straightforward. It's straightforward to build a P3 component right now in Rust, right? So you can build a P3 component. There's actually great repos out there that are examples. So you can build, for example, a P3 HTTP component. Thanks to Joel for his he's got a repo out there, which I'll link in the chat later. But basically, so you can build a P3 component now in Rust. And then the question is, can you take that P3 component and take it to JCO and do a transpile? So for those who aren't familiar, JCO transpile converts a component into essentially a JavaScript file, a WebAssembly module, and glue code that makes it so that you can run it in a JavaScript environment. So that means either Node or the browser, right? So we're taking the sort of P3 component we built in Rust that's sort of like feature complete right now, where, there may be some, maybe there's a chance we'll find bugs, but it's pretty stable, looks at this point. And we're transpiling that component to something that can run in JavaScript, right? On V8, essentially, right? So the sort of problem that I'm working through now is making sure that all the things the Rust component, right, that working Rust P3 component tries to do will work on the JavaScript side. And on the JavaScript side means either Node or the browser. Browser support is experimental, but Node support should certainly work. So just making sure that all the sort of like lower level new built-ins, and then also the shims, right? Because the things like WASI have also changed in P3. So sort of like like if you think of like WASI standard out and all this other stuff, that stuff's changed too. So just trying to make sure those things work in an equivalent way, as much as it can be equivalent across these platforms, is what I'm doing now. So that work's underway. If you're building P3 components out there, try transpiling them, see if you run into any bugs, and if you do, which you probably will, just send them my way. And this is again on the JCO repo.
Yeah, and the reason why that's so important is for us to basically move to the phase 3 for the WASI P3 as part of the WASI subgroup, is that we have to have 2 reference implementations. And so Victor is leading out the second reference implementation, which is taking these specs and making them run in a Node.js environment with JCO transpile. And getting help on reports, examples, usage is really critical for us to be able to make our date. And thank you, Victor, for taking that on. Any questions on that front? All right. Well, we're gonna get back to it and say heads down. So thank you everybody for joining, and I'll see you next week.